Thank you so much for being here. I really
Oh my
appreciate
gosh, my
it.
pleasure.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah,
Nice to meet you with the JD Media Institute. And today we have a few of our students live online, and we're just recording live from the Internet Summit to kind of give them an update. I actually just informed them about your excellent keynote yesterday.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
Which was really awesome. And for me, I've been doing SEO since 2003.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sort of one of the oldies. But I really appreciated that perspective on the two algorithms, which is what I was just sharing with the students.
Cool.
I have a few questions for you while you're here today, so I want to go ahead and jump in.
Let's do it.
The first question I have is basically around, the main changes that have happened in the last, since basically 2003, 2004. You pointed out in your keynote the biggest changes have come in the last 3 years, which is definitely true. I appreciated yesterday when you said, SEOs used to have one job. It was a simple job. That job's become a lot more confusing.
For sure.
So I was wondering if you could share a little bit with the students about what you see coming up for 2016, and kind of in brief, what are the main changes that you see people really need to be thinking about as far as business is concerned?
Yeah. So let's see. Going forward, I think we're going to be keeping a close eye on a few things. One is how mobile and apps start changing the search landscape. Google has been talking really big about the inclusion of apps and app content in mobile search results in Android. We'll see if that ports to other things like the iPhone or Windows devices or that kind of thing. I think we'll also be keeping a careful watch on whether that's a kind of a red herring, right? Whether it's, they show app content, but it doesn't get a lot of clicks, and so it doesn't show up that often, and even when it does, it's low click-through percentage, and so it's not something that a lot of businesses need to worry about. Or, wow, app content is dominating, it's really driving app installs, it's changing the face of how we perform searches and how we get answers to our questions. That either of those could be the case. I could see it going either way, so keep a close tab on that. Second big thing, I think ad blocking is huge. Ad blocking has grown dramatically the last 3-4 years. As you probably know, right, the iPhone iOS started allowing ad blockers, and so now mobile ad blocking is huge. Android's allowed it for a while. And the more people talk about it, the more people install it and use it. So you're seeing, demographics in the US and in the Western world that have 30, 40, 50% of these demos installing ad blockers, which means pretty impossible to reach them, pretty impossible to track their activity. And then, I think there's also a frustration that comes out of that, which is organic traffic has always been valuable, but with the rise of retargeting and remarketing, it became even more valuable, because if someone comes to your site and then they leave, it was like, they're gone. And then for the last few years, it's been like, they're gone, but not forgotten. I cookied them, and so I can still target them as they go around the web and follow them around like a lost puppy dog.
Yeah.
That might be going away for a lot of folks. So that's something we're watching closely as well. And then I think there's this, it's been talked about a lot this year, but I see it going forward even more of an issue, and that is the signal-to-noise ratio with content. Content marketing 4 years ago was insanely powerful because you didn't have to do very much, right? If you put out content, people were hungry for it. There were more platforms than there was content to consume. That's an overstatement, but it was a Wild West, right? And if you had a saloon, people were coming in. Now, there's a saloon on every corner. So you got to compete. There's got to be something special about your bar, about your liquor, about your staff, about something about you that makes you stand out from the crowd. And I think standing out is getting tougher and tougher. We are seeing huge rises in investment of content marketing. Businesses of all kinds adopting it. Frustrating part of that is consumers don't have time to read or consume that much more content. Saturation is nearly here. So demand is underneath supply, and I think it's going to keep falling. That's going to make for a real challenge for businesses.
Yeah, I think those are huge challenges. We talk about that a lot because I often tell the students there's 8 billion people on the planet almost. So you're not the only one doing what you're doing.
And 8 billion new pieces of content every week.
Yeah. So yeah, standing out I think is going to be a huge issue. I also think it's fascinating with the mobile apps too, because we've seen the number of mobile apps going up, but I was recently reading a study that said the amount of hours any one person can put into apps, or the number of apps that they use per month, pretty much caps around like 25, 26.
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
Creating new apps and continuing forward, it's like, people have a limit.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
nothing else.
I think this is a tough thing when you think about investing in mobile, whether you should be investing in mobile web or in mobile apps. And I would say, unless you believe you can be a market leader in a mobile app or in an app category, you should go mobile web, because the long tail of web and of websites and the ability to draw traffic from all these different sources is insanely powerful. It's so much easier to develop and to iterate on mobile web than it is as a mobile app. You don't need to hire a specialized developer. You don't need to get App Store approval every time you want to make changes. Like, you just change your content, right, on your website. So I think businesses of all kinds are going to have to be very careful about when and whether they choose to invest in the app ecosystem.
Yeah, I feel really glad to hear you say that, because I've actually been preaching that for a long time. I'm like, think carefully about app development, because that's a big step, and is it really going to produce what you're looking for, especially from a small business perspective?
I have this weird theory. Nobody else seems to believe this, but I sort of feel like apps might be laser discs, right? Like, the mobile web can do nearly everything, once browsers evolve, right, can do nearly everything that an app can do. It can be location aware, it can send push notifications, you can do it all through a browser. And so I wonder if apps aren't just a stepping stone to, oh no, wait, now the browser's good enough, we don't need apps.
Yeah, no, totally.